Tired of your Rubik's Cubes exploding in your face?
Well, no more, with Radzy's all-new Rubik's Cube MK2! Our new seamless design is packed full of sparkly new features, such as automatic scrambling, a compact 11x11 size, and an input buffering system to prevent unwanted rapid disassembly, and so much more! It can be yours for just the low price of
your eternal soul.
Just kidding! The world download is in the description. Hello everyone! After seeing how much everyone loved my previous Rubik's Cube video, I decided to improve it. I took some suggestions from your comments on things I could change, such as making it more compact, making it use a survival power source, using an input buffering system to stop multiple faces turning at once, adding automatic scrambling, and a few other features I thought would be cool to add. First things first, let's take a look at how to use everything when you arrive in the world. When you spawn, you'll spawn with a guidebook, and there'll be a chest in front of you with all the controllers you can possibly need. The guidebook contains some really handy info about how everything works, as well as these 3 links that you can click on to teleport around. If you want to see all the logic I've hidden underground, or make your own colour scheme for the cube, be sure to visit the logic basement. There are 3 sets of controllers for controlling the cube. One set that uses the buffering system I mentioned before, a set that has direct control over the cube, and another set with direct control that also has a modified layout that lets you switch between clockwise and anti-clockwise by holding shift. This layout was recommended by Tingman, who made a wonderful video of himself trying to get the world record time solving my previous cube. There are another 2 controllers as well. One to control the moving platform system you can stand on, and one that allows you to automatically scramble and reset the Rubik's Cube. Alright, let's take a look inside the cube and see how it works. The basic interior mechanism is similar to my previous cube. In my previous design, each face had its own gear shift and power source, but to make the cube more compact, while also fitting the 2 water wheels inside, there is now a single gear shift that has been moved to the side. The 2 water wheels on top connect through a series of gearboxes to this cog, which connects to a speed controller, allowing me to ramp up the speed easily. The 2 water wheels support a max turning speed of 160 RPM, but the speed controller only has options for 128 and 192, so we round down to 128. The speed controller then connects to the gear shift, which is controlled by this redstone link, before finally having the power routed through a series of gearboxes to all of the sequenced gear shifts and mechanical bearings that control the turning of the faces. The remaining spare space inside the cube was perfect for the redstone that manages the signals for clockwise and anti-clockwise. If it is a clockwise signal, it is relayed straight to the correct sequenced gear shift through the redstone links. But if it's an anti-clockwise signal, it also enables the gear shift through this link, reversing the turning direction. If you saw my previous video, you may notice the funky black parts I had to separate the linear chassis of each face are gone, which is why the cube is so nice and compact now. Turns out I also overcomplicated things, and by simply using the power of the secondary chassis, I could avoid my edge pieces sticking to my corner and center pieces without the black concrete separator. This is because the secondary chassis doesn't connect to regular linear chassis, and since the corner pieces never touch the center pieces, they won't stick together either. Some people may prefer the old look, but personally, I love the smooth and seamless design, as well as its simplicity. Now that we've seen all the changes on the inside of the cube, let's close it back up and take a look at how the input buffer system prevents the cube from breaking. The cube breaks when you turn 2 touching faces at the same time, causing the pieces to overlap once they finish moving. So, let's prevent 2 faces from being able to move at the same time. We could just stop the player from sending turn signals through while the cube is turning, but this can get frustrating when you press a button just too early and the input is lost. So instead, let's get the player inputs to form a nice orderly queue. What better way to form a queue than by putting our moves onto a conveyor belt? I've used leather hats and boots to represent each of the possible turns. Each time the player pushes a button on the buffered controller, the corresponding item is dispensed into this brass tunnel. We need to make sure that all our items take the exact same amount of time to travel from start to finish, otherwise the move order might get messed up. Since I have blocked off all of the outputs for the tunnel except for this one, all items put into the tunnel will exit onto this conveyor belt, and because items don't take time to travel sideways in the tunnel, all inputs will be processed at the same speed. Once it reaches the end of the belt, it is sorted by the filters attached to the top row of brass tunnels before going through a funnel back into the dispenser it is stored in. The content observer that is placed to the side of the funnel provides a redstone signal when an item enters the funnel in front of it. The redstone link on top then sends the signal to the cube. Because the amount of time it takes for one item to move through the brass tunnel is longer than how long it takes to turn a face of the cube, this ensures that two faces will never turn at the same time, while also storing all of the player's moves on this conveyor belt. Unfortunately, it does take about a second for the item to do a full loop out of the dispenser, back around the conveyor belt, and into the funnel. So that means that every time you press a button it takes a little bit of time for it to actually be registered, but on the bright side, your cube will never explode again.
Nope.
To scramble the cube, I've copy-pasted the design of the buffer and modified it so it has 2 dispensers instead of 12. Since dispensers spit out a random item from their inventory when powered, I can then connect this to a timer that alternates on and off for 10 seconds to send random moves to the cube and scramble it. This is all buildable in survival Minecraft. You can just replace the creative motors easily, and the command blocks you see here are just add a countdown timer warning and a couple of other funky effects, because that's the kind of thing I like doing, making stuff pretty. If you want to add a custom color scheme to the cube, then these 6 command blocks over here are where you want to look. Each of them replaces each face with a fresh set of blocks. So if you want to add your own color scheme, you can simply change the block in the fill command for each of the faces that you want to change and then reset the cube. Voila! You have your own custom color scheme. If you want to add the cube to a creative or survival world, then I have also included a number of different schematics in the description. To get the schematic in your world, get a schematic table and look inside. You can see a list of all the schematics you currently have saved. Click the folder icon to open where all the schematics files are stored, and then put my Rubik's Cube schematic inside. Refresh the schematic table and you'll see it in the list. Select the Rubik's Cube, put an empty schematic in the left slot, and press the tick button. After a few seconds you'll have your schematic. This works on multiplayer servers too. Follow the instructions to move the cube where you want it. If you're in creative mode, just click the print button and voila! If you're in survival mode, put the schematic inside a Schematicannon, and you can get a list of blocks required by putting a book in this top slot. Put a chest next to the Schematicannon with all the required blocks, fill it with gunpowder, and watch as the cube is launched into existence. Once the water wheels are placed, make sure to pause the cannon so you can add the water to the water wheels. The water must flow into the smaller angled side of the water wheel panels, or it will actually go too slow. Unpause the Schematicannon and wait for it to finish defying the laws of physics by firing redstone components through the walls, and you will have yourself a completed cube! Copy these layouts into your linked controllers and you're ready to start scrambling and solving. For your convenience, I have included a schematic without the concrete, so if you want to build your own color scheme around the cube, you don't have to gather a bunch of concrete, only to mine it away again. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing, as we are so very close to 1,000 subscribers, and I will definitely be making more videos like this in the future. Don't be afraid to leave a comment suggesting what you would like me to build next. If you are interested, I have a Discord server in the description too. I'd also like to thank Mumbo Jumbo for the original inspiration for this project, and Tingman for making a video about my original cube, as it was super cool to see. And with that, I'll see you all in the next video.